You are 20 when someone hires your mask before they hire your name. Apprenticeship hasn't finished. It doesn't matter. The city keeps its own calendar now. Before the bell and after the bell rings too often. Age 20. The tailor measures your fear like cloth. He holds up black wool and says, nothing. You nod as if agreeing to a sentence. The beaked mask sits on the table, blank as a moon. Inside the beak, pockets for herbs, rose, mint, lavender, vinegar-soaked sponge. You are told it will keep the miasma out. You do not decide whether to believe, you decide to breathe through it anyway. First house, first knock. You learn the etiquette of thresholds, how to use the cane to point instead of touch, how to speak through leather so words don't come out muffled with pity. You say, open the window, and water slowly, and I will return tomorrow. You are lied to kindly and often. He is better, they say, about a man who has simply become quieter. Age 21. Paperwork is a kind of grief. You record names that no longer fit bodies. Your writing hand learns to move faster than your understanding. You keep two ledgers, one for the magistrate, numbers like scaffolding, one small and private, where you write sentences that have nowhere official to stand. She hid a ribbon in the mattress. He asked for the sky. They still fought over who gets the good cup. You learn smells the way sailors learn stars. Vinegar, yours. Smoke, neighbors making prayers into air. Rot, honest, merciless. You understand why the city wants you masked. Not to scare the sick, but to hide the face that knows. House to house. You become a door with legs. The cane is more than a pointer. It is distance measured into wood. Children stare, some cry. One little boy laughs and calls you a bird. You bow, small, absurd, and he stops laughing. The work makes you ceremonial. You wash your hands as if the water were watching. You set the mask down the same way each night, like a reliquary. You fold the black coat so carefully it forgets its weight for a minute. Age 22. You are given two assistants paid less than the herbs. One faints once, never again. The other doesn't faint but begins to speak too gently to every object. Easy now, door, easy now, window. You let him. Softness is a tool, too. You discover that a city under plague becomes 7 smaller cities stacked on top of each other. One city is silence. One is rumor. One is lists. One is bread. One is prayer. One is coins. One is no entry. You carry a key that opens some of them and never the one you want. There are treatments of a kind. Some are theater, some are habit dressed as medicine. You lance a bubo when you must. You do it clean, quick, unbrave. You burn bedding with a fire that looks like justice and isn't. You prescribe air, light, lemon if they can find it. You prescribe patience to people who have already overdosed on it. A magistrate asks you for numbers. You give him columns tall enough to lean on. He asks you for hope. You give him a sentence. The curve turns after it remembers how. He accepts this as if you've handed him a rope. You do not say that ropes can also hang. Age 23, you become a librarian of breathing. You can hear fever in a footstep on stairs. You can hear panic in the speed waters poured. You can hear resignation in how a latch is lifted. You listen, not like a doctor, but like a locksmith. One night, the bell does not ring, and the silence feels like a prank. You sleep badly when hope is loud. In the morning, the streets are damp and shy. You walk them as if they might break. You visit the pest house at the edge of town, timbers that learned sorrow quickly. Beds at attention, windows pretending to be sky. A woman asks you whether she will live. She is the first that day to ask it in a tone that expects an answer, not a kindness. You say, I don't know, and give her water like a crown. She drinks it as if water were finally pure. You write to your teacher. You tell him the textbook left out the audience. Illness is never alone. It brings a crowd of what ifs and why me's and I should haves. You say, I am treating a chorus. You say, sometimes one voice steps forward and sings, and for an hour the room brightens. He writes back, that is medicine. The rest is bookkeeping. Age 24. Masks crack. Leather ages. You oil the beak as if it were a pet that helps you breathe. Someone paints a little white line along the edge of your visor. At night, you look like a moving parenthesis. A priest stops you in the street and asks whether suffering purifies. You want to say no, it just simplifies. People become nothing but what hurts. You say something gentle instead. He thanks you with the stunned gratitude of a man who expected theory and got a sentence he can carry. Statistics become winter. They make everything brittle, clear, a little dead. You keep the small ledger for warmth. He carved a toy boat. She refused to let go of the yellow shawl. They were kind to the neighbor's cat through the window. A rumor starts that the mask is poison. Someone throws a stone that misses you and hits the idea of you. You learn to walk with your hands open, palms visible, sentences ready, air not blood, light not leeches. I'm here to count you alive. Sometimes it works. Age 25. The numbers bend, the bell rings with longer pauses. Your cane feels lighter, your shoulders heavier. You know which houses can be reclaimed and which will stay hollow even when full. You know where to send bread. You know who lies about fever because pride has its own temperature. You take the mask off in a courtyard while no one is watching. The air tastes unpunished. You weep a little in the way a window weeps. Quietly, just enough to fog the view. Then you put the mask back on because the work is not done and because faces are fragile information. They ask you to train others. You teach the choreography. Arrive, observe, open, order, note, leave. Hands, eyes, voice, door. Vinegar, air, water. Hope. You teach them how to tell the truth without stabbing with it. You teach them that gentleness can be sterile if you keep it clean. Age 26. The city exhales and pretends it never forgot how. Markets practice being loud again. Weddings, small and ferocious, bloom like weeds. The bell learns shy manners. You walk streets that suddenly have corners instead of warnings. You keep the mask. You hang it by the door the way soldiers hang swords and bakers hang peels. You think, what a ridiculous, honored thing. You think, I wore a bird face to keep being human. You think, some costumes are uniforms, some are shields, some are prayers you can fasten with buckles. A child you once scared in a doorway runs up to you in a clean shirt and gives you 3 almonds in a paper twist. You looked like a story, he says. You laugh inside your real face. I was, you say. I am. Age 27. A new sickness visits from the east or from the rats or from the air's bad mood. There is always debate. Which is a way people practice courage with words before they need it with bodies. The city turns its head like an animal hearing hoofbeats. You take the mask down. Your hands don't shake. You begin again, which is the real profession. Knocking, listening, washing, noting, asking, leaving. You are a rope, a bridge, a ledger, a lamp. You are paid in coin and in the way rooms ease when you enter. You are not a savior, you are a routine. Repeated until it becomes a promise. One evening, you sit with the assistants and tell them the secret. We don't beat plagues, you say. We escort the living through them. They nod, and the nod carries more future than any oath. You are 30. A neighbor hangs laundry like flags of surrender that somehow look like victory. You take off the mask in the square and hold it under your arm. People don't look away. Some nod. The bell is quiet. Somewhere, a baker takes bread from the oven, and the city remembers how to smell good. You go home, scrub your hands like a prayer, oil the leather, fold the coat, write one last line in the small ledger. Today, the air favored us. Then you blow out the candle and let the dark be only night, not news. And tomorrow, if it asks, you will put the bird on your face again and walk. Because this is a life, not heroic, not clean, not certain, useful. And sometimes, usefulness is the kindest shape hope can find.